So Merab Dvalishvili is taking on Sean O'Malley this Saturday, and in this video I'm going to go over a couple different ways that each fighter can win. I'm going to build a good game plan for both of them to win, and then probably have a prediction at the end. And the first thing I want to get into in this video is what Merab did extremely well in the first fight against O'Malley and how he won. So something that I really liked is that Merab didn't just have one way of taking down O'Malley. Most fighters, when they go in, even high-level wrestlers, only have one legit way in taking down the fighter that they're fighting against. So Merab had many different ways, and I'm going to go over those. So the first one that he had was getting a front headlock against the fence. So when he pushed O'Malley up against the fence, he grabbed a front headlock and took him down that way, and also had that guillotine in the first round that he used instead of really as a legit submission attempt, as like a mat return. So that's the first thing he did. The second thing he did is the timing. He had very good timing on O'Malley's right hands. So anytime O'Malley would throw a right hand, overextend, he ducked under and shot in on the hips before O'Malley could sprawl and before he could grab underhooks. So that's the second thing he did. The third thing that he did was when he would throw his own right hand to get O'Malley to put his hands up to defend or to counter, and he would duck under and get under the hips the same way he would on the right hand counter. So that's the major things he did. And another thing that he did against O'Malley that not a lot of other opponents did against O'Malley is when he would get O'Malley to the fence, instead of just being very patient and holding him up against the fence, is urgency. We saw this in the Aljamain Sterling fight. He got O'Malley up against the fence and he was too patient, just staying there, perfectly fine just to hold him up against the cage, throw a couple pitter-pat shots, and just try to get up on the judges' scorecards. So what O'Malley would do is he'd push him up against the fence and he'd be looking for sweeps immediately, looking for different ways to get O'Malley to the mat, and if not, just smacking knees to the thigh against O'Malley and looking for any opportunity he could to get the fight to the ground. So that's the major thing he did, is urgency against the fence. So I really liked that Merab did that. So a couple things that O'Malley did in their fight. I'm going to go over some of his mistakes first. A big mistake he had was going out there and not being patient. In the Aljamain Sterling fight, when he fought him, the only thing he did was stay at range. He'd throw a jab, he'd throw a front kick, and he would feint. That's all he did. He only threw about 2 right hands against Aljamain in that first round, and they were not fully extended whatsoever. They were really snappy, and they weren't really meant to do a ton of damage. So he would just be on the outside, patient, throwing jabs, feinting, and throwing front kicks. So I really like that he did that. But when he went to the Merab fight, he didn't do any of that. He tried to go out there. He was expecting Merab to do what he normally does in the rest of his fights, is coming out there like a bull in a china shop and just throwing haymakers, going in, rugby tackling people, but that's not what Merab did. So he went out there and just strike like he normally would, thinking he was going to find a knockout against Merab. But Merab went in there with a completely different game plan. So what O'Malley needs to do is do what he did in that first fight, what he did in his fight against Aljamain Sterling, which is stay on the outside, be patient, wait for your opponent to go first, then step in with that knockout shot. And I think if he can go out there, be more patient, not overextend on your shots, I think he'll have a lot more. If he can go out there, be more patient, I think he can get a lot more success against Merab doing that. So that's what O'Malley needs to do. Something that he did do in the first fight with Merab is he was throwing a right hand to the body, and I actually really like this. That right hand was doing a little bit of damage, but the main, it turned his, that part of Merab's body red, but the main thing I liked is Merab would back up when he sees that, so it would keep him at range, keep him awake, let him think about something. And then something that O'Malley has to do to win this fight is very front kick heavy. He needs to be throwing front kicks any chance that he has. So we saw he hurt Merab in the last round of their fight, where he was, even when he was hurt, he wasn't defending the teep right. He was just putting his elbows together and running away from it, essentially, instead of doing the actual defense that you're supposed to do for a front kick. So I think O'Malley can go out there, throws lots of front kicks. I think he'll have a lot of success with that, paired with the right hands and the jabs that he was doing in the Aljamain Sterling fight. So if Merab goes out there and he's fighting an evolved O'Malley that came in with a much better game plan, and he's just staying on the outside, and he can't time these double legs, he just has to pressure him up against the fence. There's no question. So that is the game plans for each fighter. And now, with those game plans put into place, I still think Merab is going to win, because even if O'Malley goes out there and does what he did against Aljamain Sterling, we saw that he still got pressured up against the fence, and Merab, as we talked about, has the urgency, and I still think he could get O'Malley down and do enough damage there. But I do think that if he goes in there with a better game plan, O'Malley does have a solid shot to win this fight. So there we go. Final prediction. I think Merab most likely has a 60% chance of winning this fight. So go ahead, if you liked the video, like, subscribe, and yeah, see you later.